Yo guys, what's going on and welcome back to a brand new episode of my F1 2019 career mode here today for episode or part 32 for the German Grand Prix. The real life Grand Prix just literally happened and we're doing it once again in the form of career mode. If you guys missed the last episode 31 for the British Grand Prix, my home race, then go watch the episode guys by clicking the card in the top right hand corner of your screen. It was a very, very decent race and I urge you guys to go watch that one before coming back to this one. Before we jump into any further spoilers, now as you can see on screen, we've got a chance of rain in both qualifying and the race towards the end of both sessions, which is going to make things very, very interesting. Also, in terms of R&D, pretty big moves from Renault and Red Bull, to be honest. McLaren as well, closing the gap to us, but Red Bull, Renault and Haas, all really strong lately and improving the car a lot. Now, in terms of practice, I forgot to take a screenshot of the actual practice results, but we've done a pretty decent session. We got purple in everything except for the qualifying test, if I'm not mistaken, and we scored around 300 out of 335 points. So all in all, it was a decent session, and overall the car did a good job. I felt comfortable around here. It's a track that I enjoy and I felt confident with. I'm racing at, I believe, 106, 105% AI, something like that. I can't exactly remember because I'm pre-recording these races and I'm pretty much at Monza now, so I'm kind of forgetting a little bit of what I did at the time. But yeah, I think it's 106. I could double check in a moment. But either way, we're going to jump into qualifying, and as you can tell by the title in the video, it wasn't a simple session because I had to change my engine for qualifying, but I forgot because, again, I'm trying to get ahead on episodes because I'm going away for a week for the Hungarian Grand Prix, and within the rush, I just kind of forgot. I meant to change my engine after practice, and I didn't do it. So I thought to myself, okay, I'm kind of screwed, so I'm going to try and see if I can change it for qualifying. I have to change 3 out of the 6 components, and we're going to see if we can try and do that in amongst the chaos of qualifying, and also knowing there's a chance of rain towards the end if we get to Q3. It's going to be a pretty crazy session, so yeah, strap yourselves in guys, because it's going to get pretty damn interesting in this qualifying session here at Hockenheim, because there's a lot going on. So first of all, we're going to jump into the monitor, and you can see on screen, I'm going to change the MG UK, the Energy Store, and also the control electronics in this session. As you can see, I'm just currently looking to see what takes the longest, and the longest thing to change is going to be the MG UK, around 12 to 13 minutes. And because Q1 is the longest session, we're going to change it in Q1, which we did, and we went out with about 4.5 minutes to go. And now the pressure's on because we've got to try and do one lap and get through to Q2 without any issues. And you can see on my lap here, luckily for me, it was a pretty okay sector 1. We then hit traffic in the form of Lance Stroll, but we hit it at the perfect point to get a beautiful toe all the way down the back straight, and that's going to help us out in terms of overall lap time. And then as you can see now through sector 2 here, we are down a little bit on Charles Leclerc, but only 2/10 off. And the big struggle for me was sector 3. I was losing about a second to the AI through here. Even though there was no visible mistake and the car was working fine, for some reason I was dropping a whole second to 0.8 more or less in this sector, which was a little bit concerning because it was actually going to put me on the bubble and under threat of elimination for Q2. Luckily for me though, you can see as we run up to the line here, our sector 3 was pretty decent, 7/10 off. We lost half a second in that final sector in the end, so not too bad. And before Q1 ended with about 15 seconds to go, I strapped on the new Energy Store, and hopefully that will get changed in between sessions in the transition. And you can see here as I skip towards the end of the session here, we got pushed down to P11 but comfortably through into Q2, and 1.1 off in the end off of Lewis Hamilton in the Red Bull. And hopefully we can get a brand new Energy Store in between sessions here as we transition from Q1 into Q2. And that they did manage to put it on. It took a little bit longer, around an extra 30 seconds. And in Q2 I went out straight away because there's a chance of rain, so we have to go out early and get the lap in. All the AI have done their lap time already, so we're going to do our lap now as it begins to get overcast here. And unfortunately for us, in the last session we had a nice slipstream from Stroll. This time Devon Butler is going to give us a bit of an arse ache going into turn 2 as we get compromised quite badly through there, because otherwise I think I would have gone purple through sector 1 because we're a 10th off Lucas Weber through the first sector. Let's stay on board though with the lap and let's see how we get on as we race down towards the hairpin here, looking for second gear and then after first to really get the rotation at the apex of the corner here, nice and smoothly on the power as we go up through the gears. And so far so good here in this session, and hopefully we can try and get through into Q3 even with that little Weber incident that hopefully it doesn't demote us down to Q3, because so far the engine change has worked out. We've got a new MG UK, a new Energy Store. All we've got to do now is change the control electronics, which hopefully we will do after this. Only 0.3 down so far in Sector 2, which is not bad. But now the final sector, this is where I lose my lap time, and it's all about keeping the lap together and trying not to throw it away as we go through the sacked hairpin and now through the little chicane into the couple right-handers here, the last two corners of the racetrack, really getting the perfect line through there on the power nice and early. DRS open up to the line. Do we set a good lap time? Yes, we do, P4, and actually that was a really good final sector, only 1/10 off Lucas Weber, so overall a very good sector.
Heavy rain arriving within 5 minutes time.
And there you go, that's pretty much going to signal the end of the session. And as you can see, I changed the control electronics, and we've got the rest of the session just to watch and let it progress. So as you can see, we go through into Q3 in P7, just ahead of Sebastian Vettel, only just so close between the pair of us, and Lewis Hamilton, Lucas Weber setting the pace in the Red Bulls, and quite a gap to Leclerc and Gasly, to be fair. The Red Bulls looking very dominant around here. But the good news is we've got a brand new engine on. We've managed to pull it off mid-qualifying, get the engine change sorted one component at a time, and now in Q3 we're going to have full power for this session, so hopefully we can try and do well. Our first lap is only good enough for P6 and pretty much last, 1.4 off the pace. I went again on the same set of tyres, and I kept on going for a second lap. I had just about enough fuel in the ERS to do a second attempt, and you can see here we're about 2/10 up, on for an improvement here as we now go down towards the final sector. And this is where I was struggling a little bit for grip, to be fair. We're currently 10th and last in this session, so hopefully we can try and get off the bottom and improve it. As you can see, going through the final corner here, again, just trying to ease the car through, and we're nearly 4/10 up, to be fair. We found quite a bit of time on this lap. A little bit of an oversteer moment there as we almost hit the wall, but we do improve to 8th place and around a second off the pace. But now we're going to move on to my final run in the qualifying session, and the track was actually starting to dry up a little bit. The rain was actually easing up towards the end, and I'm going to be the last car to cross the line here. Straight away through turn 1, using 7th gear to carry the momentum, and already we found about half a tenth as we go down towards turn number 2. Now easy on the brakes, and then very smooth on power application here. Very easy to lose the rear, take it easily. A little bit of oversteer kicking in mid-corner, but overall good first sector as we find a 10th and a half, nearly 2/10 here, and using lots of overtake on the back straight. We're now 2.5 tenths up, going down towards the hairpin. Currently P8 as qualifying ends and the checker flag goes out, down towards the hairpin, a little bit hot on the brakes, and we got it a little bit wrong there, to be fair. I tried to push the limits too much. I'm hoping to recover some lap time on the exit, but we don't really pull that much time back, and overall we've thrown away about a 10th and a half there at the hairpin, which is a little bit annoying as we now go down towards the next left-hander before the Mercedes-Benz grandstand, and we've lost our entire delta of 2.5 tenths really, which is a bit annoying. Luckily we've recovered a little bit on the exit and carrying the speed there through the right, and we're half a tenth up and half a second off Weber through sector 2 as we now go into the stadium section here, carrying the speed, and a pretty okay run through there. Don't know how I lost time, but somehow I did. Now through the hairpin, nice and smooth through there, keeping it nice and low this time, and getting an okay exit, a little bit of oversteer kicking in, and now into the final couple of corners. We know I had some oversteer through the final corner, so as long as I hold it together through here, we'll gain some lap time as we now get on the power out the final corner. There we go, we're going to gain some time on the delta and improve by around 1.5 tenths. And overall it was a decent lap, but there was definitely, I reckon, another 2 tenths in it. Either way, though, Sebastian Vettel manages to out-qualify us as Lucas Weber and Lewis Hamilton get a 1-2 from Mercedes, and it was dominant, really, really dominant. They were untouchable in the wet, to be honest, even quicker than in the dry. And yeah, the best we could do was P7. I think we could have got Sebastian, but overall, Seb qualifies us in his home race, and overall a decent session. We're now going to move into the race though after changing our engine and see if we could try and score some decent points. It's time for the German Grand Prix.
Good afternoon and welcome to a place that is very special to us all in the Formula One community. It's the Hockenheim Ring, home of the German Grand Prix. Always good for a close scrap is Hockenheim. Think back to Alonso, Ricciardo, Vettel as recently as 2014, and I'm expecting some more strong racing today. With average lap speeds of around 130 miles per hour, the Hockenheim Ring is a quick circuit with a lap distance of 2.8 miles, around 17 corners. The main DRS zone through Parabolica leads into the hairpin for the best overtaking opportunity on the track. Joining me for today's race once again is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about Martinez. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
It's been a really solid year so far. There have been some incredible standout performances, but what's really impressed me has been the consistency. With this kind of form, I'm expecting another great race today.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Great work from Lucas Weber yesterday sees him start from pole, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Perez, Devon Butler and Vettel, Martinez, Gasly, Ricciardo and Lando Norris, Sainz, Magnussen, Max Verstappen and Bottas, Raikkonen, Russell, Antonio Giovinazzi and Alexander Albon, Kvyat and Lance Stroll brings the grid to a close. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Okay, so here we are then on the grid for the German Grand Prix, starting from P7, just behind Sebastian Vettel. The home hero starts from P6, and it's going to be a tricky race, I think. You know, it's one of them tracks that I think really does showcase how quick your car truly is, and yeah, we are where we deserve to be be honest. You know, based off of the R&D graph and the developments by the teams, there's not much more we can do, to be honest. I think the target for this race, if I could get a podium out of this, I'd be really happy, because it's going to be a dry race mostly, with a chance of rain right towards the very end. The strategy is going to be soft tyre onto medium, onto another medium. I've got 2 fresh sets of medium, so I may as well use them. And yeah, we're going to see how we get on. Hopefully, we can try and have a good race here today, and the car performs. And like I said, if I get a podium, that would be a great result for me, because I can't really see myself getting a podium. I think maybe top 5, but we'll see how we go. And hopefully, we can try and end this race on a high, because then we've got some big upgrades on the way for the next race. So let's just jump into it, and let's see how we get on. And fingers crossed we can try and score some decent points. It's time for round number 11 for the German Grand Prix here at the Hockenheimring. Let's do this. Right, here we go. The 5 red lights are going to come on here. Let's try and get a good start. Lights out and away we go. Pretty decent getaway, to be fair. We get off pretty evenly with Sebastian Vettel there. We're on the outside of turn 1, which is not where you want to be. Luckily enough, no one really sends one down the inside with full commitment, so that's good news. We're on the outside of turn 2 here. Let's see if we can try and set up a good exit. Out of 3 onto the back straight. We're going to try and be aggressive here. I've got a good run on Sebastian, but he's got a tow from the cars in front, which is going to help him out. Side by side here, we're kind of boxed in with Devon Butler, so I'm going to try and push Sebastian wide. Briefly 3 wide as we go down towards the hairpin. Cheers, Jeff, down the inside of Devon there. Seb's still on the inside, a little bit of contact there, but I had to turn in because Devon Butler was turning in on me there, so it was kind of a situation where I couldn't really go anywhere, to be honest. I just had to commit to the corner, but up to P5, good start as Sebastian's trying to attack Devon Butler here. Perez up to P4. I think we could definitely beat him this race, even though the Renault's a better car than ours. I think in terms of AI coding, I think we're better than Perez. So yeah, overall that's looking pretty good. And then obviously the front 3 are going to be tricky. Weber, Hamilton, Leclerc, the usual 3 suspects, always very quick in the Haas and both for the Red Bulls respectively. They're going to be a little bit quick. So let's see if we can try and catch Perez first of all, and try and make another position. As that point draws to a close, and I'm going to consider that a very successful opening lap. Weber's starting to open up a gap out front. Meanwhile, Hamilton and Leclerc have started to battle for P2, and that's inviting Perez to close in. Also, Sebastian's taken P6, which is good, so both of the Mercedes are behind him now, which is good. In their home race, the Mercedes are struggling here, but you know, you can see on the R&D graph their car is also struggling for pace. As Weber, purple lap 13.1, let's see what we're doing. 14.0.
Have enabled DRS. DRS is now available.
14.0 there, running wide for the first time at turn 1, picking up a track extension. Only got 2 more of those warnings for the entire race, got to be careful with that. Okay, we've managed to get ourselves within Perez's DRS, just. Bit of a 4-car train starting to form.
Approaching the pit window, you'll be on the mediums.
Yep, I'm thinking of undercutting Perez, to be honest. I'm scheduled to pit in on lap 6. I might try and pit lap 5. If no one comes in, do the opposite and try and undercut all 3 of these guys. So I'll keep an eye on that, let's see what happens. I've just dropped out of DRS again though onto the back straight, which is where you want to have DRS, ironically. Meanwhile, there's a big battle behind Butler, Sebastian and Gasly, all going at it for P6. So that Lewis has been overtaken by Perez. Perez in the Renault got pretty good pace. He's been able to compete with the big boys here, and we're just about able to keep them in our sight. I need them to battle for me to catch up. I don't really have that much pace. Sebastian as well trying to hold on to P6. You can definitely see that we are struggling. Okay, I think I'm going to undercut here. Lewis and Perez stay out. They're probably going to battle this lap now, so let's go for the undercut. See if we can make something happen this race. Get it all slowed down. There we go, good entry. Right, come on boys, good stop onto the mediums. Hopefully I reach on a little bit of space, no traffic.
Go, go, go.
Good stop, 2.1. Looks like we're probably going to rejoin in last place, to be honest. Let's see how this one pans out. Limiter off, there we go.
Okay, you only have to stop once now. One stop left.
I don't think I'm going to be able to get much of an undercut. There is a huge train of cars in front. Pretty much the entire grid, so let's see how this works. Let's be trying to have a strong outlap here and try and undercut Perez and Lewis.
Let's use some of this energy. Increase the ERS deployment.
Okay, then here we go. We're gaining on Stroll. DRS on the pit straight.
Gap to teammate ahead is 10.2 seconds.
There we go. There's Perez. We've managed to get Perez, and there's Hamilton right in front, so the undercuts worked. We've managed to make it awkward for them. We've managed to get in front of Perez. Lewis right up the road. We're going to have a chance here to get past the Red Bull, maybe. We're going to have to use all of that ERS here to make sure Lewis doesn't get too far ahead. We're going to get a nice tow all the way down the straight, though. Yeah, pretty good for straight line speed, to be honest. Down the inside of Danny Kvyat. Gives me the room. And we get past, there we go. Let's try and keep Hamilton in our sights whilst we get through the traffic. This is the only way we're going to get past Lewis this race. Traffic's going to be the X factor. Hopefully Weber rejoins us in traffic as well, that'd be great. Oh, that was close. Very close. I thought I was going to go straight into the back of Lewis. Somehow I didn't lock up. Sebastian pits in.
The car behind has boxed for the mediums. Car behind on the medium tyre. Sebastian is in the pits.
Looks like everyone's going to have DRS on each other here on the pit straight. Let's just wait until after turn 1. Oh, Perez has got the run on me here. I'm going to defend the inside. Showing the long way around while I was trying to focus on my exit. Here we go. Come on, Ferrari, show me what you got on the straight.
Be able to run in this engine mode much longer. We're about a lap over target. Drop down to mix too soon.
Look at the overspeed, 340 Ks. Oh, had to avoid that. Big mistake. Completely got that wrong. Damn it. Big mistake. Luckily I took nobody out. I just completely cut the corner to avoid having contact with Giovinazzi, but I completely got that wrong on the brakes. I held my breath for so long there. Unbelievable. Big mistake though. That's going to ruin our entire undercut attempt, which is annoying. So let's get head back on, try and get head screwed on straight and try and push on and not let that phase us too much. Oh, there's a move going down at turn 1 involving a Renault. I think it might be Ricardo. Kvyat, Raikkonen, Stroll all squabbling for position here. We're going to go on the outside of the racing point. And now we're tucked in behind Kimi. We're going to try and pull to one side. DRS for us. We're gaining on Kvyat here. Let's try and make a triple overtake. A little bit squeezed, a little bit of room on the inside to make the move. But job done. And we are back past. The car trying to send one down the inside. I think that was Kimi. But Perez in front of us. Let's try and get back past him if we can. Hamilton's just cleared the traffic now. So let's try and get back onto him. Right. Let's have a look at Perez now. Let's see if we can make a triple overtake here. Perez tucked in behind Alex Albon. Aggressive switch back onto the straight. Let's get a tow. Let's make a double overtake. Getting the run on Albon here, and that's going to give us the overspeed on Perez. 3 wide. Down towards the hairpin again. A little bit more cautious on the brakes than last time. We had Giovinazzi in front of us as well last time. Down the inside. Double overtake executed. Up to P10 then. Past Perez. Up next, Antonio Giovinazzi. Let's try and get past the Italian driver here in the Alfa Romeo and then make chase after Lewis once again, as he's going to have to get through some more traffic in a minute, which will be my chance to catch up. I'm really killing these medium tyres off really quickly though, whilst having this aggressive recovery drive after that big mistake. Let's try and get past Gio though. Let's see if we can find a way past. It shouldn't be too hard. He's visibly struggling on those tyres, and also that car doesn't have the pace. With the final corner. Rich mix. DRS. Down the inside. A little bit of a corner cut there, but I had to give Gio some room.
Good job, nice overtake.
Take the apex of turn 2 as Perez makes the move as well. Let's turn up the engine just to make sure Perez...
front is 2.8 seconds.
Perez doesn't challenge, although to be fair, look at the speed in that Renault. Very good straight line speed. Side by side into the hairpin. I'm very narrow. I have to turn in early, but we're going to get the power down here. Come on, let's try and outpower that Renault. There we go, Perez backs out. We keep him behind. Need to find some more traffic to try and put some cars between myself and Perez. Come on, let's push on. Okay, Lance Stroll retires, first retirement of the session in the Racing Point. We've managed to get DRS from George Russell. This time Sergio Perez isn't going to challenge us down towards the hairpin. Lewis tucked in there behind Sergio Perez. No, sorry, that's Valtteri Bottas in the Racing Point. I keep forgetting. Right, let's go after Russell. Right, then we should pick up DRS on George Russell here. There we go, onto the pit straight. Lewis, meanwhile, making a move just in front on his former teammate Valtteri Bottas. Down towards turn 1 on George Russell, DRS. Let's wait. I'm going to wait till the second straight and pass him on the big one. Oh, that's close. Almost hit the back of there. Had to get on the brakes. Here we go, then on the power. Let's see what we're like.
Some rain about 10 to 15 minutes from now.
Big overspeed on George Russell. We're going to go to the left-hand side. The shorter run to the hairpin as Bottas is going to re-challenge Lewis, I think. Right on the outside, surely not. They're still side by side, but Lewis is going to take that, I think. There you go, he stays in front. Let's see if we can try and get past Bottas now. You just heard the warning for rain, so one eye on the sky. Trying to find a way past Bottas now. Got so much more pace, and he's visibly struggling on those mediums. DRS on the pit straight here. It's not going to happen though, because he's got DRS on Lewis, so we're going to have to wait a little bit longer here. After turn 1 maybe, there we go. He's going to have DRS again. Let's go to the outside. Power down around the outside, there we go. Fantastic move. Only problem is Bottas is going to have DRS, so we're going to have to crank up the engine here. Use up what we've got left of overtake and fuel. Bottas closing. We're going to have to go defensive a little bit. We're going to just hold the inside. There we go. Right then, let's get after Lewis. He's just up the road. Let's keep him in our sights as long as we can before the rain arrives. Okay, Magnussen in the pit lane. He's coming to the hard, so he's going to try one stop it. Meanwhile, we've got the run of Verstappen here with DRS on both the first and second straights. What we've got to do now is make the pass on the back straight. Pretty straightforward. We're struggling on these tyres though. There we go, DRS. Can I pass him without having to turn up the engine? I think we should be able to. Yep, there we go, we're gaining. Verstappen goes defensive, so we'll go to the outside. Around the outside of the Alfa Romeo. A little bit wide onto the curb, that's not the best traction. Verstappen stays in front for now. Can we challenge into the next left-hander? Down the inside. There we go, that's more like it. Job done. Lewis isn't running away from me, but he's definitely got more pace than me. Carlos Sainz in the pit lane, there we go. Back up to P4 now, and back to normal race order. Lucas Weber is so far ahead, he's already at the next race. Charles Leclerc is just up the road, you can see him on the mini-map briefly. And then we've got Lewis right in front of us. So, yeah, I think the target is a podium. I'm kind of relying on the rain, to be honest, to make something a little bit weird happen, because pace-wise, Lewis has got a little bit more than me at the minute, so I can't really do nothing about it. Really good pace in the minute, really happy with the car. We're keeping Lewis at 1.9. The gap's kind of just sitting there.
Our teammate by 18.9 seconds.
Based off of how far Lucas Weber is ahead, I do wonder if Lewis might have damage, similar to what Weber had in the last race in Silverstone. But this is good news for us. Right, here we go then. Into the pit lane we go. For our final stop of the race. Onto another set of medium tyres. Try and stuff the gravel, there we go. Good pit entry. And we've got to slow down pretty well as well. Perez comes in, as does Leclerc. Right, I need a good stop, boys. Come on, so that'll be perfect.
Go, exit now.
Crucial.
Exit complete, go now.
Crucial stop. We managed to get released before Perez came by. I was worried about that. A 2-second flat pit stop from the boys.
Strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now.
Here's Sainz. He was in front of us before when he pit in, if you guys remember. So we've managed to overcut Sainz on the wall medium. So there we go. We're rejoining P6. Got a couple of one-stoppers in front. Lewis has gone for the hard tyres. So we might have a chance here of trying to get past him, which is interesting. So let's crack on with this and let's use these medium tyres to try and get past Lewis if we can. I'm also going to see if I can try and set a purple lap next time round. Right, let's give it some. Turn the engine up.
Information on Magnussen. They have an issue with their car. They're going to be slow. Our gap to the car in front is 3.2 seconds.
Right then, let's give it some. We had a Mercedes in the pit lane there. Magnussen's up the road. He's got car trouble. As Sebastian pits in.
We pretty much burned off our excess fuel. We'll be back on target soon. Don't wait too long to turn the engine down. Sebastian's in for his stop.
Apparently the rain's not too far away. It could rain very soon, so we'll keep an eye on the sky. Even more reason why the medium tyre's a better tyre. It does rain because we'll have a lot more grip on this one. Right then, we're making good progress here. We're visibly catching Lewis, so let's keep up with it. Still can't understand why he's put hard tyres on, but I'll take it. Here we are then within Lewis's DRS. That's going to end that lap off beautifully as we run out of DRS. Purple lap, 12.4. Weber hasn't pitted yet, I don't think, so he could potentially ruin my party. Here we go though, we're gaining on Lewis. Let's try and make the overtake on the Red Bull. I've just run out of fuel in the RS at the crucial time. Magnussen just up the road, that's the car you can see. Well, I'm a little bit far back here. I'm going to have to try and hope that the rich mix and overtake that I have left is enough to try and pass Lewis here first time while the tyres are still fresh. Late on the brakes. That'll do though. Good old block pass. We're going to lock up, picking up the rotation, locking the rears on purpose to trail brake into the corner. Rear ahead. Lewis is gaining on me though. He might try and go for the lunge. No, he doesn't. He stays behind. But that is a net P3 because now we're going to pass K-Mag, who's got car trouble and is on the hard tyres, and we'll be to third place somehow in this race, which I don't know how the hell that's happened, but it has. Okay, it's starting to rain. Literally just a couple of corners later, the rain has arrived. Meanwhile, we're gaining on Kevin Magnussen here. We're going to power past. I've got a bit of lag here. I always get this lag in the mixed conditions as we get past Magnussen. There we go. So we're up to P3. We've got the better tyre. Leclerc's also on hard tyres, interestingly enough. So we're on the better tyre for these mixed conditions. Now we've got to try and time the switch to inters to the right time.
Some information on Leclerc. They're slowing down. It seems like there's some kind of problem with their car.
Oh boy, Christmas has arrived. Both Haas cars with reliability. This is what I said, you see. A couple of races ago, we went for the reliability protection.
The car ahead is 6.0 seconds.
We went for the reliability protection last season with the R&D regulation reset. And it seems like no one else did. But I'm still waiting for other cars to really have issues. But maybe now, halfway point of the season, cars starting to get a little bit older, we might start to see some issues. We've seen both Haas cars with it already. That could be interesting. So let's try and get that second place off of Charles Leclerc. Medium tyres were definitely the way to go. Absolutely right call. Then again, maybe I was the only one who had a fresh set left. You just don't know. But we played the strategy beautifully in qualifying by saving tyres and trying to use just the soft tyres. But here we are, we're catching up to Leclerc now. Visibly struggling. Let's get that second place. The DRS is still enabled. The conditions are getting tricky, but you know, it is still available. I'm not sure if we're going to the inters or not. Apparently the track's going to dry up in like 10 minutes, so it could be one of them ones where we just have to try and power through the conditions. Here we go, let's make this overtake. Start the engine a little bit, side by side with Leclerc. Very straightforward overtake, and there we go. Weber's 32 seconds up the road, which is absolutely incredible. Oh, bit of a lock up there, got to be careful. Track's getting more and more delicate by the second. Will we have to go on inters? I've got them selected, ready to go if we need to.
I think it might be just about time to come and change these tyres.
Okay, interesting.
Check your MFD for a new strategy option.
Okay, there we go. We've been given the alternate strategy.
Confirmed.
We'll pit in for the inters. We'll do what the team says. I don't 100% trust it, but you know what?
Lap, please.
I'll commit to it. Weber's having to stay out for another lap because he was so far up the road, so he could come unstuck here. So let's pit in and get these intermediates on. Although DRS hasn't been disabled yet. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to trust in my engineer. Track does feel horrible. And there you go, DRS disabled, so good timing. Here we go, into the pit lane. Hopefully we don't get held up, that's what worries me. Get it slowed down.
Scrub tyres should rubber in faster, allowing you to start the push sooner.
Here we go. Come on boys, good stop. I've been held up a little bit there, but that wasn't too bad. Onto the inters, 2.1 stop. Right, this is interesting now because Weber's had to go for another lap. This could be interesting. Is this a used set? No, it's not, it's a fresh set. Okay, here we go then, up to speed. Fresh inters, let's do this. I think Lewis's car might be working again. He's seemingly able to keep up. The good thing is there's no DRS. But he's going to be tricky to keep behind for a couple of laps. The gap didn't really come down, to be fair to Weber. He didn't really lose that much time at all. So yeah, overall, decent stuff, good strategy. Now let's try and hold on to this second place. Overall, good timing on the fastest lap. We definitely got that at the right time, so we'll definitely pick up the extra point. Weber's a second lap quicker than me. Meanwhile, Lewis isn't that quick, so again, it leads me to believe he might have light wing damage because he's not as quick as he should be. Same as Weber in the last race at Silverstone. They've literally flipped around because in Silverstone, Lewis won the race and Weber had the damage. This time it's the other way around. So yeah, good thing is we're there to pick up the points, you know, when we need to. Then you can Fiat out of the race in the Toro Rosso. Down to 18 runners now. 2 laps to go next time we cross the line. Let's bring this one home. Well, I'll say it's a good thing we are where we are on track because Perez in the Renault is so much quicker than myself and Lewis. He's absolutely flying. Again, I just checked on the replay camera. Lewis didn't have any visible damage to his wings, so I'm not really sure what's happened to him. But I mean, like, Weber's been a second lap quicker than me, pretty much. If you guys remember when we did the undercut, he was 32 seconds ahead. And you'll see now when we cross at the second sector split, he's nearly 40 seconds in front. He's 39.4. So Weber's got the pace. Lewis, for some reason, just doesn't. Either way, no complaints on my end. I did not expect this. I thought we'd really struggle to get a podium here today. And it's not just a podium, it's second place with the fastest lap. Strategy on point. Not a mistake earlier when we ran deep at the hairpin, but other than that, a perfect race. Car was fantastic, and we did our best, and that's all we can do. Here we go, up to the line. P2 for the German Grand Prix. Grazie ragazzi, forza Ferrari. Grazie.
Good job, you did really well. Super driving.
Red Bull pulling out all the stops today. What a great win. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
It's a heroic effort for any driver to race in conditions like these, and seeing them fight their way to the front was very special indeed. They were able to find all the grip, all the good lines, and had the confidence to get on the power to top it all off. That's what pushed them into first place here today.
Red Bull put up an outstanding fight for the front position today, and it's great to see it paid off for them. They do so much for the sport that you can't help but be delighted by today's race win.
Right, so here we have the final race results as Lucas Weber wins here today for the German Grand Prix at the Hockenheimring. We come home P2, picking up the extra point for the fastest lap. Lewis Hamilton P3, but look at that, Lucas Weber, 3 stops just like everybody else, yet he managed to win by 40 seconds. Dominant win from the German in his home race. Meanwhile, Sergio Perez P4 in the Renault, Carlos Sainz P5 in the McLaren on a 2-stop strategy. Really good race from him. Kevin Magnussen also with car trouble, but still P6 on the 2-stopper. Pierre Gasly, Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc only P9 on the 3-stop with car trouble, and then Devon Butler running out the top 10 with Ricardo Norris missing out on points, along with Sebastian Vettel all the way down in P15. Really poor race for Seb. I don't know if he had car trouble, because he was with me most of the race and then he kind of vanished in the wet period, unless he maybe stayed out a lap too late, maybe because he did come in very late, to be fair, for the intermediate, so maybe that kind of screwed him over. And then we've got Albon, Raikkonen and Giovinazzi, and then we've got Kvyat and Stroll retiring from the Grand Prix. In terms of what the race means though for the championship, the drivers is pretty interesting. We're 25 points behind Weber, 50 behind Lewis, so pretty much 1 or 2 race wins respectively split us in terms of the top 3. Then you've got Leclerc a little bit further back. We've managed to extend that gap over him. And then we've got Sebastian Vettel still P5 after that race because Devon Butler didn't really do that well. He only scored 1 point. And Sergio Perez now in the Renault up to P9, making really good progress. In terms of the constructors though, we are second place still, holding on quite nicely. And we've actually got a nice gap now to Haas, around 70 points. And we've got some big upgrades on the way in the next race. We've got an ultimate aerodynamic upgrade, also a major chassis one. And we're now going to add to that because we've got enough points to maybe do some upgrades. So let's jump into the laptop and let's see what we can do.
Your old teammate had a much better race this weekend. Do you think we can expect more wins from him? You had a pretty close finish with Lucas. What's it like racing a former teammate? You and Lucas seem to enjoy yourselves up on the podium today. You were cutting your way through the field during the race. Great. Well, that's everything.
Okay, so here we are then on the R&D tree, and I'm going to make some upgrades. By upgrades, I mean just one specifically, and it's between two options. Now, you guys know, as you can see on screen right now, we've got two upgrades in the way of Hungary. I'm really hoping, knock on wood, those two do arrive and we have no issues, because those are going to really help us out. But we're going to add to that, but not in the way you may think. In the last episode, we purchased this one here, which was Department Efficiency, to make the upgrades 10% cheaper. Now, the options I have is either this one here to get Department Efficiency level 2 to get it an extra 10% cheaper, or we go to the engine side of things because we're starting to drop off a little bit and we get one for the power unit. Now, looking at the options, the aero doesn't need it because we're quite strong in the aero department, and I can afford to let that wait a little bit. So it's either the powertrain or the chassis, but considering we have 1200 points, I'm kind of leaning towards the chassis because that's the part that needs the most work. So we're going to get that upgrade on, and that'll make the upgrades cheaper. And now in theory, if we go over to the minor one, that's 684 points, and the ultimate one is 1444, which isn't too bad. So we're probably going to work towards this upgrade next, and that will give us a big boost in the chassis department, and also maybe try and get this one on as well. And then after that, we'll probably focus on the engine and try and catch up in the engine department a little bit, because that's going to be important. Actually, to be fair, now think about it, we might actually do these first because we've got Spa Monza coming up, so we might have to do these engine upgrades first of all. So yeah, overall we'll see how it goes. Either way, we've got two upgrades on the way in the next race. Hopefully they arrive and there are no issues and we can overtake Mercedes in the R&D graph. With that being said, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video, and if you did, then drop a like and also get subscribed if you are new to the channel for daily Formula 1 content and also MotoGP content, and turn on notifications to not miss a video from me. And finally, check out these two videos on your screen if you have missed them. But other than that, guys, thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next one very soon. But until then, it's goodbye from me.